Hey guys, confirm you can hear me. You can just drop a chat. Let's confirm you can see me. Leave a chat if you can see me. I'll leave a comment. Yes, okay. Thank you. Okay, go live in a few seconds. Welcome to Talk Tech Africa. My name is Femi, Greaterheights. Please confirm if you can hear me in the chats. And for those streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, you can also leave a comment as well. Thank you. So the topic of the webinar for this month's edition is Before the Breach, how African businesses can build a cyber resilience future. And this is Talk Tech Africa, and it's a thriving community of amazing people. Um, I'd I'd say that. I I being one of the amazing people. We have our website at www.talktech.africa is our website, and we also have a Facebook group for those that want to join the Facebook group, and we have a Facebook page as well. We also have LinkedIn and several other channels as well, Spotify and the likes. So if you want to join us in Talk Tech, either as a volunteer or you have some skills that you want to render to the community, you can reach out to me at talktechafrica@gmail.com, or you can send a message to hello@talktech.africa. My name is Femi Greaterheights. I'm a seasoned information security professional and security audit expert with over 2 decades of experience in the IT and cybersecurity sectors. As the founder of TalkTech Africa, I lead a vibrant virtual community of over 40,000 members, and that is spread across LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Facebook group, Facebook page, and Telegram as well. And we have dedicated members and passionate people in the community, and all of this energy is to position the African continent as the next frontier for global technological evolution. I'm a devoted Christian and I balance my technical life with my commitment to mentoring the next generation of tech talents. So, outside of professional life, I am a family man with a deep fascination for space exploration. For those of you that are in my space, you know I'm a huge fan of space and I love sci-fi movies, always keeping an eye on the future of innovation. So welcome to Before the Bridge, how African businesses can build a cyber resilient structure. And I'm not alone in this community. I would like us to give a round of applause to the guys driving the community. So you see me at the top, I am it's still the same image with everybody on the team. So currently I have Greater Heights, I have Timmy, I have Ayomide, I have Bimbas, I have Okwe, I have Mac, Vera, Oluwa Bukola, I have Success, I have Expression, I have Yemi, and I have Emmanuel. We need to update this, and we have Success as well. We have we need to update this actually. But this is the team, and the team they are the one driving this community, doing all the amazing graphics and putting all of this webinar together. The content team have been doing amazingly well. The graphic team, the web team, and we're looking for more volunteers in the web space, those that can manage a web. If you can manage a WordPress website and you can manage it very well, on the content side, the design side, please feel free to join the community. We are moving very fast and we are scaling into different African countries as well. So if you're listening, you're not from Nigeria, you're from Ghana, you're from South Africa, from Kenya, you're from Rwanda, you're from Cameroon, you're from Egypt, Ethiopia, anywhere you are in Africa, please feel free to send us a message, send us an email at talktechafrica@gmail.com, and tell us about yourself and what you like to do for the community. So let's move on to what we have for today. Now, this is the reality check. Um, there is always that band in Africa that says, Africa is under attack and most businesses aren't ready. Is it true or is it not true? Just for clarity's sake, this slide can be made public and the design of the slide was powered by Claude AI. So just to put some resources out there, and at the tail end of the slide, you're going to see the link of all the resources. So we are not quoting, the wrong statistics. You find a link to all the verifiable sources as well. So what is this reality check? Africa is under attack and most businesses aren't ready. And the truth is that if you look at those stats, you see that 10% of our GDP is lost to, this same attack. Africa loses about 10% of its GDP to cybercrime annually. Average weekly attacks per African organization has gone up by 23% year on year, and that's coming from Cisco. You can see the value there, 2,164 weekly attacks. Now, moving on to scam notification rising up to 3,000% in some African countries, and that statistic is coming from Kaspersky and Interpol in 2025. So you see 3,000% scam surge. That is quite a lot. And 2 in 3 African member states, if you check the statistics, the cyber crimes is equals to medium to high share of all crimes. That's 2 in 3 African member states. So the question is no longer if your businesses or your business will be attacked. The question is when, and whether you would be ready when that comes. Now, this is an overview of the African's threat landscape. Um, Ransomware, wipers, business email compromise, AI attacks, the entire full picture is what I'm showing here. Now, if you check the ransomware detections by country, which is a source from Interpol and Trend Micro in 2024, you see that Kenya is at 3,030 and Nigeria is 3,454. Egypt is at 12,281. South Africa is 17,849. Some few persons would ask that why is Nigeria not on the larger end of it? I'll give my general view of cyber attacks. Cyber attacks is based on what you have to offer and the services that's come upstream. Now, the more you bring in your technology upstream to the internet to to the internet as front facing, you will definitely see more attacks. If you're still in the paper stage, you're still doing more of papers, it's likely you think you are safe, but you're not safe. You are just not online yet. The minute you plug online, you'll see that you would have more valuable data to an attacker, or to an attacker would have more reason to steal your data. So when you check Egypt and check South Africa, you realize that the technological landscape of those countries and the services and the um, let me use the word services, that they've gone online and thereby increasing the value of their data. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to compromise a system that is not valuable, except if it's just a script kiddie. When I mean script kiddie, I mean somebody that is just testing and practicing his cyber knowledge or his or her cyber knowledge using your infrastructure. But the minute you come online, the minute your business becomes valuable, the minute you become popular, the minute you are doing great stuff, you're in the news, you will have something that they need. And that is why that data is here. Phishing and online scam is now #1 crime across Africa. AI generated baits, deepfake used for CEO fraud. I'm going to explain that. Ransomware as a service. In 2024, Lockbit hit South Africa's pension fund as the GPAA, and the attackers took full responsibility for that, and attackers rent full toolkits cheaply. I was having a conversation with a friend and I said, in the past, if you need sophisticated tools, you will need to pay premium to get them. So for example, if you need to get a VPN, if you need to get, probably an additional operating system, you need to get probably a laptop. Most of these technologies are now cheap. Now they are not cheap for them to be used as, cyber tool or tool for crime. It means that we're getting to that future, or we are already in that future where technology is now in the palm of everybody. And AI, as sophisticated as it is, you just need to pay a subscription of about $25 to $30 monthly. Now, democratization of information means that you now have more tools that would improve your skills. And when I say your skills, I mean the good skills and the bad skills. Business email compromise. We are seeing more, you know, global incidents with a rise of 25%, and that is globally. They are targeting payroll, they're targeting your suppliers, they are targeting, your invoices, and all of these are the things that we refer to as vendor fraud. They're also targeting your treasury as well. Like I said, anywhere you have valuable data puts more controls. So a company might have A to Z. Let's look at the company as a whole, A to Z. But then your finance is on ABC. I am not saying from D to Z should not have controls. I'm saying that A to C becomes the most valuable asset that you have. Anything financial, anything sensitive documents, personal information, personal health information, um, any of this data is valuable. And why is it valuable? Is it valuable in itself? The answer is no. It's valuable because it can generate something in return. So let's say I hold your data to ransom. Um, requires this data to survive. Let's say Mr. has this data to survive. Mr. A knows that his operation needs this particular data, and this particular data could be financial, could be data of your employees, could be data of your suppliers, could be data of you know your patients if you're a hospital, and all of this data means that there is something there that needs to be protected. So if that sort of data would get into the hands of a person who holds that data to ransom, he can in turn, or she can in turn, ask for a ransom in return. So I hold your data, I encrypt your data, and I say, if you don't give me your data, I'm going to threaten you and I'm going to make it public. And you see, what does it mean to make that data public? It means that if I am able to have my data compromised and all of my suppliers' detail is on the internet, my patients' records are on the internet, what it means to my patients or my clients is that I cannot be trusted. It dents my image. So most companies will want to go the route of, should I pay ransom? Should I not pay ransom to get my data back? I'm still going to talk about that. Should you pay ransom? Should you not pay ransom? Now, other ways that your data becomes valuable to an attacker is that they don't need you to give them money. They just need to trade your information. So they go on the dark internet, we call it the dark web, where they take your patient information and they sell it for they sell it for cheap. I don't want to say for free, because when you look at the information of a person's medical record and you are letting go of it at maybe one for every $20 or one for $30, you see that you are putting the whole life of a person and selling it cheap. So that is one way to also trade data. Now you would ask that, what should my record do in the public, or what is the importance of my record? It's not the record in itself, it's the fact that the record can be used to weaponize your health and weaponize the need for urgency or weaponize the need for privacy. Let's say in your health record, it shows that I'm going to use this example, you are HIV positive, and it's an information that you don't want public, and it gets to the dark web. A person that is able to sell that information on the dark web is selling it to somebody who is going to send you a message threatening that they are going to make that sort of information public, and if you don't give them money. So you see that in as much as the attacker did not collect money from you directly, he has sold your data to somebody who can now attack your clients directly. So sometimes it's not about protecting your data alone, it's about the the effort you put into protecting your customers, protecting your clients, protecting your data, protecting your employees. Now, the environment is also shifting. Before, a lot of attackers are going to the routes of, let me take your data, I encrypt it, means that they download the entire of your data, they wipe out the copy that you have. So that means the copy that currently exists is the version that they have, and they encrypt it. Encryption in layman's term is that I put a password on that file and I say, if you don't pay me, say 20 Bitcoin or $20 million, I'm not going to give you the password to unlock that your data. But then a small business owner will say, oh, it's data that I use every day, so I can always get it back. That is why sometimes some business believe that they are not yet attacked because they are small. Yes, the equation does make sense because you don't yet have enough data that is valuable. But the minute you're scaling to a medium-sized business or you're scaling to a large-sized business, is the same culture that you kind of grow into. So if you're a small business, you don't have that culture of security. When you become a medium-scale business, it's likely that that culture would increase. In short, you'll find a way to not do cybersecurity because to you, when I was a small business, I was never attacked. So I think I will be fine when I'm a business, when I'm a medium-sized business. So all of those assumptions is that you have data that people don't want. But what if they're already in your environment when you're small? I mean, an attacker can be in your environment for 10 years. We call it living off the ground, means that they're already in your system, they are just there. They are not going to trigger any of your security control, they're not going to do anything large, they're just going to be there. Now they can be there based on a malware, that's a malicious software, or they can be there as an employee. The modern day warfare means that a malware is no longer a software. A malware can just be an employee that you hired, but you never scrutinize. You never ran background checks on that employee. That employee is from somewhere, it's just there. And you put that employee in your finance department, and they're just taking that entire data and shipping it somewhere else. The landscape has totally changed. Now, there is this new um, I would say there's this new methodology in the industry right now whereby some attackers no longer need to encrypt your data. They are just after you as a company. So they are not going to hold your data. They are going to completely wipe your data. So it's called wiper malware. It's a malware which is a new threat that destroys your data completely. They don't want ransom. They don't want an encryption key. They're not going to give you a password. They wipe your entire data and the entire backup. Now, who would this be against, for example? So let's say, for example, I am a government establishment or a government employee is listening to this particular webinar. Some threat actors could be from another country. So let's say a country is fighting war against the next country, and they know that this sort of data, ABC worth of data, is what drives your day-to-day operation. They don't need to steal that data. They just need to wipe it completely. And when I mean wipe it, they're going to wipe the current data. They're going to wipe your backups. So that is how bad it can be. So that is why you have to start thinking as a small business that even though I am small, my cyber security and cyber hygiene has to start from where I am. You don't have to be big. You don't have to wait till you are Fortune 500. It starts today. Now, this is the SME blind spot, the small, medium sized enterprises. They believe hackers only target large companies, like I said. That's the most dangerous myth in Africa. 95% of African businesses are SMEs. Go check the records. The largest attack surface on the continent. That's the size is no shield. So that is 95%. How many Fortune 500 has come out of Africa? So how many unicorns have come out of Africa? You barely can count, right? But when you compare it to the United States, you realize that Maybe small scale and medium scale size businesses, they have that, that amount, right? But compared to the large size organizations, they are more. But in Africa, 95% of businesses are actually SMEs. 50% of African GDP comes from SMEs. So that means high value targets is what we're looking at here. Now, $120,000 is the average cost of bridge for SMEs. So according to IBM 2024, most never fully recover operational or reputationally. And I remember having a conversation with a friend and said, there are businesses in Europe, businesses in America that would always announce and say, we have been hit by a cyber attack. Why do African countries not come out to always claim or disclaim that they've been attacked? The question is that even though there are regulations, Africa's economic climate is unforgiving. It means if a company comes out and says that we have been attacked, you barely can clean up your image. So most African business, when they are under attack, do not report it because a business that is still struggling, and let's say a bank, and most banks are still within that frame. The African trust system is not yet up there because everything has to do with a trust system. If a company that is doing well, I don't want to mention names of company, I don't want to project a brand here, but where some companies tell you and they come out and say, we have been attacked, we have contained these particular threats, we have eliminated or eradicated this particular threat, and everything returns to normal. Based on the company's competency and the company's consistency over time, its customers might likely believe that they've done that. Most companies in Africa have low trust systems. So when they come out and say we have been attacked, their clients do not believe because the next time the service is down, they would attribute it to that same attack that you announced. So that is why most businesses are not coming out in Africa to say they have been attacked. But trust me, when I share some information, you would know that businesses in Africa, they are targeted heavily, and daily most of them fall victim. It's just that it is underreported. Because trust me, when your favorite bank in any African country comes out and tell you that they've been attacked, it is likely that everybody goes to the bank the following day to take out their money. That is why I say, as businesses, don't just build capital, build trust as well. Now let's look at the risk assessment landscape. What is your risk score worth? Most of the time, I've always asked companies that put a numerical monetary value to your risk. When you ask a business that what is your risk appetite, means that what can you take? At what measure of risk that leads to an impact can you absorb? That is your risk appetite. Some companies will tell you that, okay, somebody breach our system and steals $1 million, we'll still be fine. Do you know what that means? It means that they've quantified their risk to a material figure, to a monetary figure, and says that our risk appetite is at $1 million. But what about you as a small business, as a medium-sized business? What is your risk score worth at this time? I'm not going to dwell too much on this slide. I put this slide here so that the top leadership of your company can look at it and start thinking in that direction. Are you a technical person finding it hard to sell cybersecurity to your company? They're not buying it. They're saying, okay, this is a lot of money to spend. We don't have that budget. The question is that they are not yet serious because you have not added a material or a monetary value to that exposure. If you are able to do the calculation well you see the first one I said here is asset value. It means that what is the business criticality and asset value of that particular thing. So let's say you're a bank and all of your ATMs, right? All of your POSs, and you do an exposure calculation and you do an asset criticality rating on all of those assets. How much are they worth based on the data that they process? Now, number two is the exposure factor. What is the percentage of the asset lost if a specific threat occurs? What is the single loss expectancy, SLE? That's the cost of one successful attack. And what is your annualized rates? That's your ARO. That's how many times per year could this realistically happen? So let's say you'll be attacked in January. Some companies are attacked during festive periods in Africa, like say December. Some companies are attacked on public holidays because they know that their cyber team will be out of office. There are some companies that are attacked at night because they don't run a 24/7 security architecture. So by the time you put how many times this can realistically occur, and you put that together, you are going to arrive at an annualized loss expectancy, which is your SLE multiplied by your ARO. That gives your annual expected financial loss. Now, this might look so serious for a smaller company, for a medium-sized company, right? But I put this webinar together not to speak to just small businesses, but to speak to companies that are doing well. If you're a Christian or if you're a Muslim, there will be part of um your faith that says something related to what I'm going to say. In Christian, it says, for the Christian, it says, he that stands should take heed lest he falls. Most companies believe that they've arrived and they relax at the end of the day. So as a technical person on this call, as a technical person on this webinar, if you are finding it hard to calculate the monetary value of your company's risk, this is one slide you should look into. Now, some other companies will say we are very small, we don't make a lot of money, so we don't think we can hire a CISO, that's a Chief Information Security Officer. We don't think we can hire SOC analysts, that's Security Operations Center analysts. But what if you consider an MSSP? So an MSSP is the Managed Security Service Provider. It means that there's somebody that is working somewhere that when you pay that company, they put that person in charge of your security architecture. They can do daily check-in, they can do weekly check-in, they can do monthly check-in. And depends on what you can afford. They can come at the end of every month, check if everything is in place, check your firewall, check your VPNs, check all the laptops that that you guys use for your regular operations, and kind of perform a cleanup and say, okay, for those months you are looking good. It could be daily, it could be weekly, but MSSP have the ability to perform 247. It's not yet common in Africa, but it should become a language very soon in Africa. So I said, should you pay the ransom or should you not pay the ransom? For a small business, that probably your earning is $1,000 monthly. So if you make that conversion, that is about 1.5 million naira or 1.3 million naira to Nigerian currency. You can also convert this to your respective currencies in Africa. 1.5 million naira to a Nigerian business for a large organization is like a slap on the wrist. Not even up to a slap on the wrist. It's like air just passing through your lungs without you knowing it. But for a small business, that could mean a lot. But that value compared to the data may not match. It means if I'm an attacker and I steal your regular day-to-day data, and I hold it to ransom, and I say, pay me 1 million naira before I release your data, it does not make economic sense. They're making 1 million naira every month, but you stole my data as a small business. Like I could generate that money anytime, right? And you're asking me for that same 1 million. I might likely just say, I am not going to pay that rent. You can have the data, right? But if you're a big company, you're a hospital where you have patient records, you might want to pay the ransom, but smaller companies may not think they need to pay the ransom. So based on how you interpret the value of your data, that is the definition of this slide. Pay the ransom or not to pay the ransom. But aside that, it could also be a business or a philosophy of the founder. A founder might say, I am a very honest person. It's best I go to my client and I say, hey, your data, we had a data breach, your data was stolen, we are putting this ton of efforts, be rest assured this will never happen again. We'll try all of we'll put all the efforts to ensure that we close the gap XYZ, and probably they give you a gift card to say we are sorry. That might make sense because that's the philosophy of the founder of the company, that we will never pay ransom. But some companies may not have that philosophy. Why? Because they don't want to go to their clients and tell them that, hey, your data is out there. They will want to pay the ransom. So, argument for paying the ransom: probably restore your operations faster. If you're a hospital and somebody encrypts all your patient records, when do you want to start collecting that data again? Because for every hospital visit, a patient is supposed to come in, you check their records, and you create an appointment. Simple. But what if all of that data was scrapped or all of that data was stolen, and every patient, and you have more than 5,000 patients, every patient has to come in to re-register again? That would drive you to want to pay for ransom. Why? Because you're looking at the stress to re-register every patient all over again. Backups are encrypted or absent. So let's say, for example, your data was stolen, but you have a backup somewhere. You might say, okay, take the data, we have a backup copy somewhere. What if they stole your data and they wiped your entire, backup, or they encrypted your backup? That might want to drive you to pay ransom. Regulatory pressure means that there is this body that is going to punish you for having a breach. Let's say you had that breach and the fine will be $1.4 million. If you compare it to how much you are going to pay for ransom, let's say the person asking you to pay for ransom, the threat actor asking you to pay for ransom here is saying pay $100,000. You compare $100,000 to the regulatory pressure or the regulatory implication of what just happened, you might want to pay for ransom. But what are the reasons why you should not pay for ransom? I usually stand in between. It depends, like I said, on your philosophy as a company, the value of the data that you have, and what your trust system is. If you have not built your trust system with your clients, start doing that today, because trust matters when there are when the storm comes. So there's no guarantee that this person that is holding your data is going to give you the right password. He's telling you that, oh, if you pay me $100,000, I'll give you the password to unlock your file. What if he does not give you the right password? And when he sends the first password and is unable to, you know, decrypt your data, then he say, oh, I'm sorry, you have to send another $100,000. Then you're put on a wild goose chase. And secondly, you could become a repeated target. It means that the attacker will keep coming all the time because they believe that you have the money. Second is wiper malware makes it pointless. So let's just say the attacker has completely destroyed your data and is telling you that, I have the data somewhere. The question is, why should you pay for that? So legal and compliance exposure, I've also mentioned this as well. Paying sanctions ransom Paying sanctioned ransomware group may violate the law in your jurisdiction. So it depends on your country. Your country might say we don't negotiate with terrorists. You must have heard that a lot in some countries. So the paying or no paying of ransom, like I said, I put the factors there. There is no right or wrong. It depends on the value of your data, the compliance or the jurisdictional requirements, the philosophy of the company or the founder, and the trust metrics that you have with your customers or your clients or your patients. Now, with all the controls in place right now in the world, there are two areas where is now a popular entry point. It is your browser and it is email. Email is through phishing. Everybody is in a rush to do something amazing at work. Everybody wants to be the first person to respond quickly to an email. Like, let me give an example. Philip is an amazing guy. He responds to email in 2 seconds. Philip might be responding to emails in 2 seconds because he does not read the email. He does not put so much emphasis on where the email is coming from and the content of that email. He just believes that the organization is trustworthy. Everybody is trusted. Any email that come, I click, I open the attachments. That needs to slow down, Mr. Philip. You need to understand that some emails are also phishing, means that they are business email compromise. They contain links or they contain documents or they contain attachments that when you click, it takes you somewhere else and you can enter credential or they can take over your session and they can create a lot of damage in your environment. My presentation today has been me trying to not put in a lot of technical jargons, but I've added those technical jargons in my slides. So if you're a technical person, you're the CISO, you're the head of security or cybersecurity, you must not miss this slide. So I'm going to go back to the introduction again. The introduction is before the breach, how African businesses can build a cyber resilience structure. If you have a question, you can drop it in the comments. The slide is a bit lengthy, so I'll try my best to go through the slide as much as I can. So let's go to the next. The wiper malware shift means that, you know, organizations, especially governments, the weapon of the warfare between two countries are no longer nuclear bombs, are no longer missiles, right? It is now cyber attack. Countries. So let me give you a scenario. Do you know that not every hacker that was arrested by a country is sentenced to death? Yeah, some hackers are hired by the government in return for not doing jail time. Now, this may not be public information to anybody. It means that some governments can collect a bunch or a group of hackers and they now work for the government. The government can also send a group of people to training so that they can become state actors. When I mean state actors, it means every country has a military on a boot on ground. Every country has a ship on the sea. Every country have a plane in the sky or a drone in the sky, but some countries have men on keyboards, women on keyboards. So just the way you are, shooting the gun on the battlefield, somebody is shooting codes to another country. So yes, countries do have state actors. That means if they are into war with another country or they want to see what that country is doing, they want to peep, they want to take some information from your country, they just need to launch a cyber warfare against your country. That's why you see hacker groups coming up and they say this hacker group is from this country. The question is, why has that country not chased that hacker group? That is another big question you should ask yourself. So yes, there are countries that fight against another country. They don't want your data. They completely want to wipe your data. So wipers overrides you know, your systems. They don't care. if that data is useful to them. They know that they just need to wipe it because it's going to hurt your country. It's going to ground your country. Imagine grounding the entire infrastructure that allows people to enter a country. So let's say in an airport, right, you have the immigration side of an airport, and attackers are able to ground the entire database, right? Ground the entire infrastructure. What happens? There'll be longer queues. The country goes into panic mode, and another country enjoys it. Why? Because they enjoy you crying, they enjoy you weeping in the news. So don't take my words for it. Go back to your security architecture and do better as a country. Subscribe, monitor, analyze. I've done my best here to give some quality sources that you can get information from. You can go to ransomware.live. Um, ransomware.live is a platform that you can see the threats across countries. I'll try my best to see if I can just pop up that page. Um, Let me see. And I give you the demonstration of what it looks like. Now, not all the ransomware news you see online are, are confirmed, right? So there are, let me see, if I can simply do this. Give me a second. I want to bring that up so you guys see that. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to see entire screen. I'm going to see. Please confirm if you can see this screen. Um, confirm if you can see my other screen. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, perfect. So you see here that you have a list of attacks across, companies. They're all listed here, ransomware.live. And you go to country map and no, sorry, you go to world map and you scroll around Africa, you see different African countries. You see some African countries have less, you know, footprints of cyber attacks. So let's click Nigeria as an example here. 16 victims for Nigeria, and you see, some companies that are listed here. I don't want to mention the name, but you see them listed here. Now, when you see information here, does not mean it is fully confirmed. Like I said, some companies do not come out to confirm or refute. The information that is being put here is based on the hacker himself putting some evidence in the public web or the dark web that they have compromised that particular company. So how do they put in some evidence? They can put in images of your CCTV. They can put in um, they can put screenshots of sensitive files that an MD signed. So by the time they pull out that document, they've given more than enough evidence that they compromise the environment. But the company may not come out to say yes or no. Like I said, it depends on the trust system. A lot of African countries do not say that. So you can use ransomware.live. Like I said, there are other platforms as well to get quality information um, and threat intelligence. So let's go back. You're going to see, please confirm I'm back to my slides. So for those of you that can hear, just confirm if I'm currently on my slides. I was sharing my screen the other time. So subscribe, monitor, analyze, acts. So what this simply means is that you can go to most of this website to get intelligence. We are not saying your company needs to be attacked before you go there. The Hacker News is one of them, Bleeping Computers, and the different sets of your country, Computer Emergency Response Team. I'm going to give the set for different countries in Africa. Have I been pawned? If you have the funds, you can ask your IT team to register for Have I Been Pawned. They have this subscription. where they take your domain and they tell you when your domain is part of any breach that's occurred. MITRE attack is also part of that, so you can go through that. I'm not going to do it so much. Now, this is the different sets. That's a computer emergency response team, like I defined. This is the set for different African countries. So if you're in Ghana, yours would be that of ZA, that's for um, South Africa. Ethiopia is GH. Sorry, Ghana is GH. Ethiopia is ET. Kenya is KE. Egypt is EG. Tanzania is TZ. So I'll pick Nigeria as an example. I think Nigeria's set should be set.gov.ng. So let's visit that site and let's see what it entails. Set.gov.ng. So it's based on government advisory. Um, I'm going to share my screen again, so you're going to see what it looks like. Confirm, you can see my screen. This is what it looks like. Now, your different African countries will have their various sets, like I said. Try and find that of your African country, but this is for Nigeria. Nigeria Computer Emergency Response Team. You see that this was critical Android zero-click vulnerability. If you go to the home page, you're going to see a list of um, advisories. I call these advisories, right? These are advisories. It means that it's not like you are going to go there and find your company there. It means that they're advising you on the things that is happening on the cyber landscape, and you can use those advisory to harden your environments for your company. So let's move. Now, some of the things you should be looking at during um, um, and I'll say a threat intelligence report on advisory is that you are looking for key things. What is the alert like? Was this an Android? Was it to your operating system? Was it to your firewall? Is it to to your laptops? What is that threat like? So your goal is to take that threat. You have to extract the IOCs. We call them IOCs because it's called indicators of compromise. And you also do the TTPs, which is tactics, techniques, and procedures. Now, an attack may be, or a company might be attacked. Another company might be attacked that is not yours. Another company might be attacked that is not yours. Yours is not to say, oh, they are being attacked, and you start, getting excited because we have stronger system. No, the question is go to those advisories and check what did they compromise, how did they go through their system, what entry point did they use to get into that system, and what did they actually do in that system. Then mirror it to your organization and say, hey, we have this same firewall this other organization has. So if this attacker can compromise their firewall, that means they can also compromise our own firewall. So it is always advisable as an IT person or a security person for your organization to always go read about the IOCs, indicators of compromise, and the TTPs as well. So mirror it to your environment, evaluate your controls, you act or you accept. Now, when I mean accept, I mean that that a lot of times security, um, cyber security personnel of companies accepts the risk. Do you know why? Because the company is not willing to give the budget to fix that problem. So they accept the risk at that level. So try as much as possible that you are not accepting a high risk or a critical risk. Yeah, you could accept a low risk, right? Is manageable based on the fact that okay, we are not in our budget season. We don't have the amount of we don't have this budget to hire XYZ. We can't bring in an auditor. We can't get an MSSP. The question is that risk high? Is it critical? If it is high and critical, please do not accept it. As a cybersecurity professional, always communicate to the management that this is the risk and this is the reason the company is not, you know, going in that direction. And this is the reason we are accepting. Do not accept on behalf of your management. Carry your management along. The risk acceptance must be consolidated and agreed at management level. Because when the breach comes, everybody is always looking for a scapegoat in every organization. So when a breach comes, you see that companies point to their security team, but sometimes it is not fair because the security team are actually doing their best, but they are not getting the budget, they are not getting the support from management. But somebody must always be the scapegoats. So learn that if your organization will accept a high or critical risk because they don't have the budget, because they don't have the manpower, it must be something that the management is aware of and they agree to before you accept that risk. So let's move to the next. What should the leadership do? So this might be an interesting slide you want to give to your leadership. Like I said, it's going to come a ton of value to how your organization would start interpreting risk. So cyber resilience does not start from the server room. It actually starts from the boardroom, although they are both rooms. Hope you got my drift there. They are both rooms. Boardroom, server room. Server room is for IT, technical guys, but boardroom is where decisions about the company is made. Decisions such as some companies at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, they ask every department to submit their budget for the next year. But when these departments submit their budgets, it goes to leadership. Leadership will say this budget is not realistic, even though that budget, contains things that will fix the problem of the organization. And some leadership would not object the budget of some departments because they believe that department is the one bringing in the money. This is one of the biggest failure, and this is one of the biggest lapses in security, in cybersecurity across Africa. Companies believe that they should invest where the money comes from, but they've forgotten that where the money comes from is because of systems that are in place. Your finance guys that are doing their ERPs, they are pushing out that money, they are doing all of it. They are doing it on a laptop. True of us. Imagine if that laptop is compromised. So you as a leader on this webinar today, you might be interpreting that the sales guys, the marketing guys, they are the one that require, their salaries to be upgraded. They are the one that requires to have a better life. They are the one that require to travel around. They are the one that, they should get all the budgets. They are the one that you believe that should get all the attention. Then you leave your IT guys to be the back burner. You leave your security guys to um to not feel motivated. Because when they see a risk, they will always feel laid back because they are not being motivated to address that risk. So as a leader, you must have a governance structure that places cybersecurity as a top priority in your organization. Please do not discount what I'm saying because I have led and I keep leading organizations till dates. Any organization that will not give value to its IT team, to a security team, that organization is in for a big trouble very soon. So what should your governance look like? The most dangerous structural mistake is lumping everything together. Now, when you're a small business, right, you wear multiple hats. The founder is the CEO, is the marketer, is the sales, is the person that puts the security together, puts the firewall, put the laptops. Yeah, that makes sense if you're a small business in Africa, but as you are going to a medium-sized business, then you can detach that. You can ensure that sales and marketing, although they are not supposed to be together, sales and marketing can be one, finance and treasury can be one. Um, what else? HR and admin can be one. IT, networking, security, all of them can be one. That's for a medium-sized business. But when you are leaving a medium-sized business to be a large organization, try not to lump all of these into one. Separate finance from treasury, separate HR from admin if you can, separate IT operations from IT projects from IT security. That is the standard way of doing. Separate your data privacy, guys. Ensure it's a different unit, you know, not that your data guys are also doing your IT work. Yep. So have these are my few recommendations for medium-sized business. Like I said, small businesses, you might want to do multiple things because of your budget. You might want to wear many hats. That is fine. But these are some of my recommendations as you are growing as a company in Africa. Have a data privacy and protection team. They would work closely with your legal team. They own things like the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, the POPIA, the Kenya DPA compliance, and across Africa you have different, data privacy and protection terminologies. Have a risk assessment, a cyber risk assessment. No, there's a general organization risk department, but there's also a cyber risk aspect. So cyber risk can communicate risk based on cyber to the overall risk or the organization risk, and make sure that you have that functionality. If you cannot afford that, ensure that you perform regular audits on your infrastructure. Information security, you notice I didn't use the word cyber security. Now, if you go out there and you introduce yourself, I went to the bank sometime and I went to do, couple of, few transactions in the bank, and the bank, permit me if I'm getting this wrong, the bank cashier or the teller person was asking, what is your profession? I said information security. I noticed she paused for a while, like about 4 seconds. She now said, uh, sorry, I hope I don't mean to offend, but do you mean like like a security guard? And I smiled because that's not the first time. I smiled because she just felt like the others, right? She misinterpreted information security as a security guard. Now, to make things easier, when I go out there, I tell people that, oh, I'm a cybersecurity person. But guess what? Information security is the broader house, and cybersecurity is one room in that house. So there are different aspects of information security. There's cyber, there's physical security, there's network, architecture, etc., etc. So the right terminology for professionals like me is we are information security experts because we look at not just cyber, we also look at non-cyber security as well. So just in case you want to introduce yourself next time, just say cyber security so nobody comes for you. Another team you should have is vulnerability management team. If you are not big yet on budgets, you can fuse your vulnerability management team into your information security team. Same thing with your security operations center. You can fuse that into your information security team as well. So it depends on budgets, but if you need more idea on how to structure your company in a cyber governance, eh, um, based on cyber governance approach, you can always send me a message, and uh, I would give some, what do you call it, some advisory on how to do that, if you want to. Cybersecurity governance as a foundation means that you should have policy. Don't be an organization that is not driven by policy. You should have board level accountability. Appoint key people that do key stuff. I put my recommendation here as well. Regulatory alignment, ensure that you have regulatory checking, ensure that you check into that you are meeting regulations, and also AI governance, ensure that your AI governance is up there. When I mean AI governance, I mean, I would always give this description. Years ago, if you want to hack a system, you'd have to pay heavily for tools, right? Like, I don't know. Those of you that have been coming in this journey, I've been coming in this journey for like 20 years, so I know what I'm saying. Those of us coming when it was Windows 95, the money to get some of these things as we progress was higher. But what has happened now is that AI has brought tools. This current generation now has tools to compromise systems. Tools are now cheap. Yeah, you can be downloaded free on the internet. You can get it somewhere lying around on the internet. So also, AI means that there's one employee right now that is using AI that is not approved for your business. They are downloading your company's information. They are taking company's information. It's not their fault sometimes. Let me say this. Every employee wants to impress his employer or her employer. An employer sometimes does not care the method an employee uses to generate a result. An employer wants the result at all costs, without value, without philosophy, without governance. If you don't set these three things in place, value, which some companies call culture, philosophy, and governance, an employee can download your entire financial data and upload it into an AI to get you results. Is that result bad? No. Is that AI bad? No. But that is a poor governance mechanism in your company. Why should a company allow an employee download sensitive information, financial data, employee records, client information, customer information, vendor information, supplier information, patient information, client information? They download all of these and they put it into all of these AI systems. I'm not going to mention their name because no system is good or bad in itself. It's just what it has been weaponized to do. So if you don't have governance in place, anything goes in your organization. So ask yourself, do you have a written cybersecurity policy? If you don't have that, you should be sending me a mail to ask what you should do. When last did you have cyber discussion in your organization? Like, when last did you call your team and told them about this cyber attack? Do you even know your risk score? Are you compliant with any data law? Let's say you're in Kenya. What law should you comply with as a business? Do you have a dedicated security team? If the answer is no, it could be budget. Like I said, you're a small business. I can still forgive a small business, but if you're a medium-sized business, at least have an IT person. If that IT person can wear multiple hats, but have a dedicated person that speaks to IT operations and security. And do you have cyber insurance? This is varying. The terminology for cyber insurance and the need for it changes based on data. And sometimes it's not needed, sometimes it's needed. Like I said, it depends on how you interpret your organization's structure and what you want to achieve. And have we reviewed AI tools in use? I keep mentioning AI tools. I'm not going to mention their names. Tell your organization or put some governance in place that says if we are using Claude, let it be Claude. If we're using Gemini, let it be Gemini. If we're using Gemini and Claude, let it be Gemini and Claude. If we're using Copilot, let it be Copilot. But everybody out there right now, some threat actors have the resources. Some countries have the resources to develop AI systems and put it out there for free. And your employee hear the word free, they don't care. Why? Because it is free. They download the entire financial records and they put it into that AI system, and that AI system keeps a copy of it. Now, your data was not hacked. Your data, nobody broke into your infrastructure. Your data was gotten cheaply, freely, no issues. I'm still going to come back to people and culture, which is my next slide. People and culture. Your people are your greatest vulnerability and your strongest defense. So this is speaking to your employees. If your employees are not trained, if your employees are not trained on cyber best practices, cyber hygiene, or they are not trained in the areas of you know governance, they would also be your biggest weakness. That is why, just the way you have physical firewall, you also have human firewall. Your human firewall are the first line of defense, not your second line of defense. Companies believe that if they have antivirus, the antivirus is their first line of defense. No, your employees are your first line of defense. So I'll give you an example. An employee that talks carelessly, goes to a bar, and takes a bottle of drink and tells everybody in that bar, my company is doing $15 billion. This is where we usually keep our money. This way, oh my goodness. There is no firewall that can stop that employee. There's no antivirus that can stop that employee. That employee is your biggest vulnerability right there. So segregation of duty means that nobody should have all that power in the organization. That's one. Number two is that you must train your employees. It becomes a constant practice when you tell them that whatever you say out there on the internet is always there. Another thing is that you need to train them to know that if an email comes in and this email is saying this email is from Femi, and this email has all the bells and whistles that tells that it's not from Femi, it even has a file, you still go ahead to click it, and it downloads a malware into the company's computer and starts crawling into different systems. By the time your antivirus and your security apparatus kick in, it might have been too late. That's why humans are your first line of defense. Talent crisis. There was this conversation around a certain founder that's been going around Africa, or around Nigeria and the rest part of Africa, that says that there is a skill gap. The answer is yes, there is a skill gap. The answer is also based on training. Companies do not see the need to hire and train. When I was much younger, there were most roles that are called entry level roles. They are called graduates. I've forgotten the terminology now. Graduate trainee roles. Some people call it graduate executive roles. Now, what they simply do as a company is that they know that you didn't get all that knowledge from university. But they are willing to bring you into a 6 months to a 1 year program and send you for sound training. And rather than going out to employ somebody they would hire for $1 million, they've used less than $50,000 to train you up to standards. But here is the trick: a lot of people do not have loyalty mindsets. After spending all of that money, that employee can choose, because he's now big, can choose to leave your organization. So what has now triggered is that most companies are now hiring hit the ground running employees. So because of the sensitivity of their work, they need to make money. They need to bring you in today and you perform your miracle tomorrow. They are not willing to train you. They're not willing to spend a dime on training you, at least to grow into that job. They need you now. They need you right away. So if you need somebody now and right away, that means that that person is somebody that must have more than 10 years, or let's say between 5, 7 to 10 years and above experience. That is what you are looking for. And if you need to pay that person, you need to pay that person good amounts of money, because experience did not come cheap. And I am not making a case for those that claim they have the experience, but they don't have the experience. I'm talking about the qualified ones, the global talents you are looking for. They are not cheap. For example, I am not cheap. So I am not cheap. And I know a lot of professionals on this, webinar are not cheap as well. So if you really want to pay them, if you really want to get somebody that you will not train, you will not give the resources, you want them to hit the ground running, you have to pay heavily to get them into your company. So moving to that same, interpreting that into the talent crisis in Africa is that Africa's cybersecurity skill gap is wide. Please, if you can come into cybersecurity, not out of greed, there's money there, yes, but if you still want to come into cybersecurity, it is not late. If you want to take cybersecurity as a career where you would come into, it is not late. Try, give it a shot, right? If you're not coming from a technical background, it is likely that you would do more, like you would put in more efforts. But if you're already coming from an engineering background, it's likely that you have, you know, your journey in cybersecurity may not be as hard as somebody that's coming from ground zero. So please consider it. Africa is still having that ton of gap. So 23% workforce gap in Africa, that is 68,000 on-field roles, according to BCG and GCF of 2024. So the founder that came outside to talk about the skill gap was not wrong, right? But my approach to skill is that if you cannot find what you're looking for, why not grow what you're looking for? Two terminologies. 63% sub-Saharan organizations cite skill gap issues across Africa. So there's a lot that is happening in Africa, especially in cybersecurity. Africa underreports cybersecurity breaches. If not, you would have been seeing all the map red right now because companies are being attacked one way or the other. They are not looking at supply chain risk. People just buy equipment from anywhere. They don't do supply chain risk. They don't look at, they don't run risk assessment on vendors. A vendor comes and say he wants to offer you services. You don't perform any risk assessment to know where that vendor is coming from. Do they meet requirements? Do they, are they, do they have standard cybersecurity practices? You just pay and you get those services. There is a lot of things I can say in 15 hours if I was speaking, and I will not exhaust it. As a person privileged to information, that's the best I can tell you at this point. So, budget smart security. So, you don't need an enterprise budget to build enterprise grade defenses. Yes, you do need money, right? But like I said, there are open source tools right now in the environment. So, I'll give some examples. Like I said, my slide is such a slide that is giving everybody the opportunity and the chance to start their cybersecurity currently right now in the organization and also as a career. So if you look at my slide right now, I took a ton of time to put this slide together, put some information into the slides. So if you are into network and endpoints, these are some of the open source tools, that you want to look at. Snot is one of it. You want to look at Wazoo is part of it. Wazoo is free. I remember my cybersecurity program in school. I used Wazoo. I also used Snot back then. OpenVAS for those that can afford Tenable Nessus. You can use OpenVAS as well, which is a vulnerability assessment solution. For threat intelligence, you can go through the MITRE ATT&CK, Virus Total, Abuse, IPDB, and you can go through CISA advisories and all of those set advisories that I spoke about. Vulnerability management, OWASP is there. Um, some tools are tricky based on your environment, right? So assess your environment before you do that. Greenbone used to be the previous name, so but Greenbone has been changed now. A lot of people have migrated into Tenable Nessus. OpenVS is also something you can use for your vulnerability assessment. Please note there is a difference between vulnerability assessment and vulnerability management. Vulnerability assessment is a component of vulnerability management lifecycle. I'll speak on that some other time. Identity and access, you can use Keycloak, you can use free IPA, you can use Bitwarden. So Bitwarden has a free limited version. You can explore that. If you want to go enterprise, Bitwarden also has paid plans as well. Some of these plans are freemium, means that they have a free version, they also have a paid version as well. For incident response, you want to look at the Hive, which is a case management platform. You can look at Cortex, and etc. etc. Training and awareness. Um, if you are a company that wants to be rolling out simulated phishing, let's say you want to be rolling out some, send emails to your employee to test if they will fall for it, if they will click the link inside of it or if they will open the attachments, you can use GoFish. So GoFish is an open source platform that you can use. I don't use it. I would say organizations can look in the direction of things like um, things like Know Before or InfoSec IQ, right? But if you don't have that budget, like I said, open source tools is why I put this slide for you to look into open source areas. Now, an area that also businesses need to look at is incident response vulnerability management and the case for African NVD. So, if you're an African nation right now that you're going to listen to this slides, we need a national vulnerability database that is consolidated for Africa. I see that as a gap. If there are any, please bring my attention to it, but I've not stumbled on a consolidated national vulnerability database. What do I mean by NVD? National Vulnerability Database. There should be a platform in Africa that any company registered to it or any country registered to it can see the attacks that are happening in Africa, can see how to, you know, um, harden their environments to prevent such attacks, and give some general advisory from the African continent. I do not see that, and I think that is a gap that needs to be addressed in Africa. So, but for you as a company, before your country comes to that reality or Africa comes to that reality, it is best to start working on your own. It's best to start putting those things in place. Please, if you have any question across our social media, YouTube, this is currently being streamed simultaneously on my personal Facebook and on YouTube as well, Talk Tech Africa YouTube channel. You can leave a comment and I would respond to your comment. So, as a person or as a company, you prepare, you detect and identify. So, that means you must have some tools in your environment or some processes that can weigh your preparedness that you are ready for a cyber attack. Now, you must have some tools to detect and identify it. There are attacks every day, but not everyone determines your immediate attention, because what attackers want to do is also to steal your time. They flood the organization with random, low risk attacks, and you put all that your efforts in remediating that, then you leave another place open. So, have systems that would help you detect and identify. Some example, SIM and IDS, intrusion detection systems are great as well. Look into different IDS. Then you contain. Containment is not eradication. Containment means that if something happens and maybe somebody clicked an email, that person is in sales department, and that email leads to a cyber attack, and that threat actor that is now in your environment is moving from sales department, is able to jump to marketing department, is jumping to the HR department. As it's jumping throughout all these loops, the attacker is looking for valuable data to steal. Your goal as a company is to contain that particular attack, to ensure that if it happens in that sales team, it should be localized and eradicated within the sales team. And sometimes because you lack detect and identify, it means that before some organizations know it, it would have crept around their entire organization. That's why detect and identify is as important as containment as well. Eradicate, it means that you have found the root cause, you have removed the malware, or and you have closed the attack vector. Recover means that if that particular threat actor was able to cripple anything in your environment, you're able to recover back to your full operations. And you must always perform a review. If after 24 hours, go back, look at the environment again, is everything up and running? Is everything okay? Then you update playbooks. So playbooks are just, I'll say, written and documented guides that shows how to perform an action, or that shows how an action was performed. So those are called playbooks. Now, for vulnerability management, I'm not going to spend so much time on this. Discover, prioritize, remediate, and verify. It's almost similar to the incident response and life cycle as well. Now, this is where you need to put your attention right now. This particular slide that says your 90-day resilience roadmap. You want to look into this. I'm not going to mention all of them. So there's this day 1 to 30. These are the first thing you need to know. Now, note, the first thing in any cybersecurity is to identify your assets, because they are valuable and non-valuable assets. So let me give an example. The list of You have a list, one that says all your patients, their NIN, their social security number, their blood group, and their genotype. Then you have another list that says list of all the cars and their plate numbers, all the cars in the organization, like all the cars for employees or top management and their plate number. Then you have a third list that is the list of all the toiletries that you have, or the inventory that you have in the organization, say cleaning equipment, um, the amount of tissue left, the amount of, when I mean tissue, if you're not in the countries where it's called tissue, maybe toilet paper, or some countries will call it toilet roll or tissue, right? So, which of these data is more important than the other? I'll give you 5 seconds for you to answer that. The answer is that the first data that has patient information is the most important. The second is the one that has all the cars and their plate numbers, because trust me, if any attacker has all the plate numbers, except if that attacker is able to take that plate number, put it in a system where it can track that particular car, it's of less importance to that threat actor. Then the most least, I don't want to say useless, but the most least of that data is the list that contains, or the inventory of the number of tissue and all of that, right? To you, like I said, list and not say useless, because some people will say, oh, number of tissue or toiletry in our organization is low. But what if an employee was stealing, taking all your tissue home, and you don't have a good inventory system, and that increases your overheads? Because if you're spending 20,000 naira or 20,000 Kenya shillings to buy that tissue, now it's going to 60,000. Then, because 60,000 is spent in that regards, it's hurting the budget of another place. So things are linked to each other based on data. Data is life. So these are your number 1 to 30-day plan, 31 to 60-day plan, 61 to 90-day plan. So you can use this to commence your cybersecurity maturity for your organization. Now, before I end my slide, I'll say the breach is coming. If it's not already here, if your company has not been attacked already, some of you might think that your data has not been stolen. But trust me, when you go to if you are privy to some areas of the dark web, or you go to some Twitter, now called X, um, threads, you will see that, not just see, with proof, that a lot of companies, your favorite companies' data, they are all on the internet. And some of those companies' data have your data inside of it. Imagine if you go to some of all those sites that I showed you the other time, and you see that this is a telecom, this is a hospital, this is a bank, and they are telling you that they've stolen 75 gigs of their data. Somebody comes out, shows you the screenshot that I stole the data containing your customer's social security number, national identification number, their their details. Some of your data is already out there in the wild. Just pray. Should I say pray? Just I want to use the word pray. Pray that Africa, especially this is going to the African Union. The African Union needs to do better. The EU is doing so much, in terms of, policies, ensuring that, big tech pay for their carelessness, ensuring that, there's governance, etc., etc. Africa needs to do more for our data governance, and but Africa needs to unite, because we have one country right now that is angry, where its people is the people are angry that another African brother or sister is doing well in their business. Is that not ironic, right? Like, somebody is doing well in their business in your country, and you say it's because they are doing well, that's why you are not doing well, and you want to destroy that business that feeds people, that puts jobs on people's table. Does that even make sense? So this is a call to Africa. If Africa is listening, and Africa is you, Africa is me, Africa is everybody, minus the company you work for, the country where you are we actually united? Because if Africa is not united, African Union cannot do as much as it needs to do. So the breach is not just coming, the breach is here. It's just that Africa's cyber incidents are underreported. It means that it is not being said on your news platform, it's not being announced in your daily newspapers, but the breach is happening every day on the African continent. If it has not hit your company yet, this slide is for you. The breach is coming. The question is that, will you be ready? Is your governance in place? Have you invested in your people? Is your culture up to date? You know, do you have tools? Do you have, cyber budgets? Do you have a good response, incident response, vulnerability management in place? So if you have ever thought that the sales department, the finance department, is the marketing department, the the department that you believe is bringing in the money are the most important, and you're leaving your cyber team behind, you are making a big mistake, and that mistake can be costly. And we spent 90 minutes of our time. We've exceeded by 2 extra minutes. If you have any question, please, um, you might want to ask in the comment section if you have any question. If you don't have any question, this slide can be made available. And like I said, I give all the links to the sources and the references, everything you see in this slide, from the links that you need to go to, and all the links that I spoke about, all these links are here for your references. So still going to go back. This is before the breach, how African businesses can build a cyber resilient structure. My name is Oluwafemi Akinyomi. Most people call me Femi Greaterheights, and I still remain by that name. So if you have, if you want to be part of this community, you want to be a volunteer, please send us a mail, talktechafrica@gmail.com. We are doing great stuff. We are bringing in professionals for our webinars. We're expanding the webinars. You can find us on Facebook, TalkTech Africa TTAF, on Facebook group, Facebook page, on LinkedIn, on X, You can find us on TikTok as well. And you can also find us on Spotify. We are trying as much as possible to bring the Spotify page up to date. And these are the amazing guys that are driving the community. So give me a second. Let me pull my amazing team. So this is the amazing TTAF team, and everything about this webinar is possible because of these guys. Um, just before this webinar, I was having a dry run with Mark. Mark is the only guy that wore um, dark shades. So you know Mark here. So just find the dark shade guy. So Mark was, trying to prepare the team to ensure that they're part of this call. Prepare my slides as well. Bimbas and the design team, they've been doing amazingly well on the design side. Bukola, Vera, have been doing well on the content side. AY is on break, so AY will be coming very soon, coming back fully. Yemi is coming in as a Spotify person, so you'll be hearing a different voice very soon because Yemi will be bringing a new vibrancy to our podcast. So this is the team. The team can still grow bigger than this. We hope to have a team of 1,000 across Africa. So please send us a message. Tell us your strong points, what you can do and do perfectly well, without you know us always micromanaging you. All these guys are doing amazing stuff. They already know when contents go out. They know the type of design. We maintain the design language. If you check the slide was done, you see the blue, you see the yellow. That is because of guys like Bimbas. They ensure that our language, our design language is maintained. So thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. If you have any questions, late question, please do leave your questions in the comments. And if your question is on any of the streaming platform, I'll be open to answering your questions in chats, or you can send your questions to us, talktechafrica@gmail.com, and we can answer some of your questions. So, okay. Um, there seem not to be any questions so far. So, uh, let me go back to showing my face. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, and yeah, I don't know, Mark. Mark is part of the team. Mark, do we have any? What should we expect for the next webinar? And what are the exciting things in the community right now?
Thank you very much, sir. What a wonderful session. Uh, Thank you very much for this insightful, powerful session on what we've been hiding. Like, it's an eye-opening session for me, and I believe it's that for everyone viewing and that has joined so far. So for TTAF, just like we have now, we have a webinar every month, monthly webinar. So the next date will be announced soon, and we are going to be bringing in another great speaker. Uh, and also we are going to be diverting you because this month we've shown cybersecurity part of Africa, and we've been doing that, picking focusing on one key area that will need improvement in Africa. So we focus on cybersecurity this month, and next month hopefully we are going to be going into career and on data analysis, and we are bringing in a very good person, someone that has been part of the community from start to. We're not going to be revealing everything now. We want it to be like fingers crossed for everyone to be anticipating. And I also want to appreciate everyone that joined today, and I want you also to be part of everything we are going to be bringing our way at TTAF. We appreciate everyone on the team and everyone on the community because we on Facebook we are getting bigger every day. We are expanding, and we look forward to uh, you joining us. If this is your first time, just reach out and join the community on Facebook, and also follow us. So more updates are coming in, and also don't forget. I'll just add it. Don't forget to follow our host today, who is also our founder. Follow him on every on Facebook, on X, and so he also drop personal stuff and update and insights. So thank you very much for having us today. Over to you, sir.
So the founder you're referring to is me, right? Right. Okay,
Yes,
that
sir.
was me. That was me. I was just messing with you. So, I am the founder. You know that stuff that you say. I'm not the founder. I'm the friend of the founder. That's what Mark just did. So he said, I'm not the founder. I'm the friend of the founder. Then this is me, the founder. Most of the time, I don't. I just do my stuff behind. The guys really driving this community. They are the guys that you've listened to. Mark, Bimbas, Bukola, Okbe, AY, Yemi, Vera, Success. These guys are driving this community, and yes, they're all volunteers. So all getting value from this community. So thank you very much. For those of you that want the slide, please send a mail to Rox. To send a mail. Did I say Ox? For those of you that want the slides, send a mail to us at talktechafrica@gmail.com. Just request for the slide. Ensure you give a bit of description so that we know we are sending this slide to people that need the slide. So it's a public slide, but I just don't want to send it to anybody that is not ready to use it to improve the security architecture of the organization. So talktechafrica@gmail.com, and somebody would respond to you. Um, yeah. So till we come your way again, stay fly, stay blessed. Remember that the future is now, not tomorrow. The future is not next week. The future is not next month. The future is not 10 years time. The future has been compressed and brought forward. So everything that you thought would happen in 50 years, they are happening within this decade. So the future is now. For Africa, the future is today. So if you're in Africa, be proud of yourself, be proud of what you are doing, and know that your contributions to the continent, either you're in Africa or outside of Africa, your contributions drive the image and the prosperity of the African continent. I am fully African, I'm Nigerian, and I love what I do, and I love every African as well. So keep putting in your best, because the next conversations is about Africa. Mark my words. Every company, every country, we find Africa as the only resource continent in the next 50 years. Yeah. I said what I said. But Africa needs to unite, and that's the only time we can ensure that that value is across the continent. Um, no fights, please. No fights, no killings. We're using this opportunity as a group, as a community, to say no killings, no violence against your own African, and even against any human, right? Because every life matters, and whatever you do, you are whatever life you take, you're also taking life from other people that depend on that life. So please stay peaceful and stay united. Bye for now.